Do you want to garden, but you got way too much pain? Then follow along with me and I'll show you how I garden even though I have pain. There's tips and tricks of how we can do things, still doing something that we love like gardening without the pain. Big warning! This can be addictive and it's really good for your health. Hi, I'm Kim Sleno and I love to garden. But I also have an autoimmune disease called Polymyalgia rheumatica and another one called giant cell arteritis. And they both cause severe pain and a lot of stiffness. So what I wanted to do was figure out how I can do gardening to feed my soul and still deal with all the stiffness and the pain. So follow along and I'll show you how I do these things. If you know somebody that they will help them and they love gardening, please share with them. If this video you find helpful, please like it, and I'd love you to subscribe to my channel. This way it'll help me be able to help other people that live with chronic pain or autoimmune diseases to be able to do things that they love doing. And isn't that what life's all about? Doing things that we love doing. So let's start out with showing you some of the tools that I use. This is what I use when I'm gardening. I'm not into the big heavy duty gardening anymore. And this one here, this is a great place for when I'm weeding and it pulls it out things really easily. And of course we have our handy dandy clippers that are used quite often. Another tool that I use quite often, and this is just because we need that when we're out in the garden and I need it with the soil and different things. And I also have one of my mini cats that helps me. So one of the things that I did the other day when I was filming this, and I didn't realize that I had no sound, is I planted some basils. So a girlfriend gave me some one basil plant the other day, about a week and a half ago, and it had some leggy parts on it. So I cut them off. And the nice thing about basil is basil will root in about 4 or 5 days. So these 3 that I have, they rooted, and I planted them in these little 4-inch pots. So some of the things that are really nice to do that with is tomatoes. Now, these are volunteers that came up from, this is not gardening season at this point in time in Mexico. It's rainy season. So I had some volunteers come up and I cut the suckers off that many of us cut off and throw out. And that was done a week ago. So you can already see the roots that are on there. So I'm going to pot these up today in a little bit bigger pot than the 4-inch. And I will have nice tomatoes from this. This is called Orange Queen, and it's an heirloom tomato. Now, when I'm potting up pots, plants, seedlings, I always use my bare hands. There's microbes in the soil that scientists have proven that serotonin actually migrates into our body. It's good for our brain and it's good for our gut health. So if you're out gardening and your hands are in the soil and you think, wow, I feel a lot better, it's because you do. There's actually over 10 billion microbes that are in one handful of soil. And lots of those are really good for you. They're symbiotic with our body. So try doing it without gloves. I use my gloves when I'm pulling weeds simply because down here in Mexico, there's lots of fire ants and I have been bit way too many times. So I do use my gloves and it's also good for any prickly plants. But most of the time I'm using my bare hands and it really does feel great. Okay, so this is a 6-inch pot that I'm going to be using for potting up this tomato. I'm using my hands in here and I'm putting a little bit of soil in the bottom. And I'll take this one here, which you can see has got some really good roots on it. And I'll stick that in the middle here. And then put some more soil around it. Now I'm packing it down pretty good to keep it standing up. This is a decent sized plant. And I will cut off these flowers that are on here. So I want all the energy going into getting a good root production. Okay, Oreo, get out of here. And I'm going to put it in the sink. And we'll do another one. This is a great way to extend your season. If you've got a shorter season with tomatoes and you have some room in your house to get some pretty good sunshine, it's a perfect way at the end of the season to take some of those suckers that are coming off of it, root them up, and plant them in a pot and see if you get some tomatoes. I've started these volunteers that were in the garden just growing, and I've already had 4 tomatoes in the last month off them that I wouldn't have normally had. That's the tomatoes. Then once you pot something up, then I will normally water them really well, and then they sit in the shade for usually a couple, 2 to 3 days, so they're not wilting, and then they can go out in the sunshine and voila, you have some tomato plants. And the same as with the basil. Basil doesn't like quite as much sunshine, but these were cuttings a week and a half ago, and now they're little plants. Okay, I'm going to show you some of the tips and tricks that I do for gardening. I can no longer get down on my hands and knees. I mean, I can get down there, but I just can't get back up. So why would I get down there? So this is my garden. I have not been out in it for quite a while due to my injuries. So I'm going to show you how I actually do my weeding and pulling and things like that. I have my handy tool that I have all the time with me. I sometimes bring this one as well, but it's a little difficult because my ground cover here is gravel, which works really well in a rainy season because if I have mulch down, it all floats away. And then I also have my handy dandy bucket to throw my stuff in. So I'm quite flexible, and I also have very inappropriate shoes. I have sandals because that's the only thing that my feet will fit in right now until my foot heals a little better. So what I'm doing is I bend over from the waist, and as you can see, what I'm doing is I keep my back quite straight because then I'm not actually using my back, I'm actually using my hamstrings and my thigh muscles. So from here, I'm going to pull up some of the weeds that I've got in here, which is lots, and anything that's hard to pull up, I use this tool here. But right now, most of these are quite easy to pull up. I've got grass, disgusting things here. This is my mint, and so I might move that pot around. And again, I'm just pulling things. But I love being out here. It makes me feel good. And as you can see, I have my friends, my little animals come and help me. Now, when I was feeling better, I was getting down on my hands and knees. But like I said, I cannot get up well from it, so why bother? So again, I'm bending down, and notice what I do is I stick my butt out, so that allows me to keep my back straight. Now, if that doesn't work for you, and you can get down on your hands and knees, then I suggest a soft pad. I do have those that I used to use a couple years ago. There's also small little stools that you can get close to the ground. But for me, this is just what works well for me. I love getting out here. It just makes me feel good. This is where I'm getting some of my joy from. So this is what I hope, that you can find joy in your life. And as you can see, my animals like playing with me when I'm out here. And isn't that what life's all about? Is having some joy. So this is for me, pain-free gardening. It works really well, and I love it. And I hope you do as well. Did I ask you if you like this? Please share with some of your friends, anyone that loves gardening and that has some mobility issues or some pain that they deal with. I'd love you to share it with them. Thank you so much. So sometimes I actually do get down like this. So I'm basically in a squat, and I'm using my bucket here for a little bit of support, and that helps me be able to get up afterwards because, like I said, so again, I'm just using I put my hands on my knee here, and I put the hand on this bucket. It's quite sturdy, and I lift myself up, and it helps great. A little tour of the garden. As you can see, most of my stuff is in pots. It makes it a lot easier for me to weed. There's a fig tree. I've just pruned that. I have long-handled pruners that are easy for me to use, and then the next day I will throw them in the compost area. Because it's rainy season, all of my pots here They're on rollers, and so in the morning I roll them all out into the sunshine because tomatoes, geraniums, and roses dislike rain. So I'm going to take you on a little tour up to my roof garden. These are the stairs that lead up to it. So these are all 25-gallon pots. Now again, this is the off season. It's rainy season, so I'm not up here very often. The marigolds are just volunteers that have come on their lots that I planted about a week and a half ago. Now this is a tote that I ended up drilling holes in the bottom. This is shallots that I planted again about a week and a half ago. So happy gardening to everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.